Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we are going to try and solve a puzzle. I want you to picture a man.
Mm-hmm.
On one screen, he's in this ridiculous, oversized costume, running a slapstick game show. You know, the one contestants just face planting into mud pits?
Getting pummeled by giant foam boulders. We all know it.
Yeah, you probably know him as Vic Romano from Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Or the Lord of Takeshi's Castle, if you're a purist.
Exactly. The loud, rude, just the physical embodiment of lowbrow comedy. But then you turn your head to a second screen. And there, the exact same man is being hailed as one of the world's greatest art house film directors. He's winning the Golden Lion in Venice. Critics are whispering his name in the same breath as Akira Kurosawa.
It is, I think, one of the most jarring disconnects in all of entertainment history. We are talking, of course, about Takeshi Kitano.
Also known by his stage name, Beat Takeshi.
Right, and he's, 79 years old now, born back in 1947?
And still working, which is just incredible. So our mission today is to really unpack this duality. We've got a massive stack of sources here. Biographies, film records, critical analysis from, both Japan and the West.
Yeah.
We need to figure out how a college dropout who started as an elevator operator in a strip club ends up a commander of the Order of the Arts and Letters of France.
And the sources, they point to a very specific and kind of a dark narrative arc. We're going to look at how a near-fatal accident didn't just injure him, but it actually constructed his artistic voice.
Oh.
It's a fascinating look at trauma and creativity.
Let's start at the very beginning, because you don't just wake up one day as a dual-threat legend.
Yeah.
You have to look at where he came from.
Adachi, Tokyo.
Right.
Late 1940s.
Right.
And context is absolutely key here. Adachi in the post-war era. I mean, this was not the high society district of Tokyo.
Right.
It was working class, rough and tumble. And the sources highlight something really interesting about Kitano's childhood. He said in his neighborhood, you really only had two role models, which were baseball players or the yakuza.
Wow. That is a stark choice. You either play sports or you join organized crime.
It speaks to the limited horizons of that time, that place.
Mm-hmm.
And Kitano's own household, it kind of reflected that tension. His father was a house painter, Kikujiro Kitano.
Okay.
But Takeshi described him as a man who lived like a yakuza.
Meaning what, exactly? Like, was he actually in a gang?
Probably not officially, but it means he was rough.
Right.
Probably a heavy drinker, a gambler. He lived on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But his mother, Saki, was the complete opposite.
A strict disciplinarian.
And an educator. She was pushing hard for education as the way out. She did not want him ending up a painter or a gangster.
And for a while it worked, right? He was smart.
Oh, very smart. He gets into Meiji University to study engineering.
Which is a huge deal. That's a prestigious path. He was set.
He was. But this is where the Beat Takeshi personality starts to, bleed through. The engineering life was just too rigid. At 19, he drops out.
Just walks away.
Walks away from engineering
Mm-hmm.
and moves to the Asakusa district in 1972. Now, Asakusa at that time was the heart of the entertainment underground.
Comedy, theater, strip clubs.
The whole bohemian underbelly. And this is where the legend starts. He gets a job at the Francesa strip club.
But not on stage, right? Not yet.
No, he's the elevator operator, the elevator boy. He's literally pressing buttons. But he's in the environment. And that's where he becomes an apprentice to this comedian, Senzaburo Fukami. He's just soaking it all in.
The timing, the rhythm of it all.
Exactly. And eventually he moves from the elevator to being the theater's MC. And that leads to the formation of 2Beat.
This is where the name comes from, Beat Takeshi.
Precisely. In the 70s, he teams up with a friend, Kiyoshi Kaneko.
Mm-hmm.
They become 2Beat, Beat Takeshi, and Beat Kiyoshi. And they performed a style called manzai.
Okay, let's pause on manzai, because for anyone who hasn't fallen down that YouTube rabbit hole, it's not stand-up like we think of it in the West.
Not at all. It's very different. Manzai is this traditional style with a duo performing incredibly high-speed banter. It's almost rhythmic.
Like jazz.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You have two archetypes. There's the tsukomi, the straight man. That was Kiyoshi. And then you have the book, the funny man, the fool.
And that was Takeshi.
That was Takeshi. Think Abbott and Costello, but on fast forward.
And with a lot more aggression, from what I've read.
A lot more. And this is why they blew up. It wasn't just the speed, it was the content. The sources all emphasize that his material was way more risque than traditional manzai.
How so? Was he just, swearing more?
It was more about who he was targeting. He was going after the socially vulnerable.
Like who?
The elderly, children, the arrogant, the poor. It was punching down in a way that was shocking for the time. But you have to remember the context. This is the comedy boom of the 70s and 80s.
Japan is modernizing. There's a lot of pressure to be polite, conform.
And Kitano was the release valve. He was saying the things you just were not supposed to say. He was the bad boy, a punk rock comedian.
And the broadcasters must have loved that.
They were flooded with complaints. They were censoring him constantly. He actually mentions in an interview he was banned from NHK Studios, the national public broadcaster, for 5 years.
5 years? What do you have to do to get a 5-year ban?
He exposed his body during a show when it was, strictly forbidden.
Okay, so he's physically crossing the line now, not just verbally.
He was completely unpredictable. And because of this controversy, or maybe in spite of it, he becomes one of the big 3 television comedians in Japan. He is a superstar. But the sources are clear. This volatility wasn't just an act.
Right, the Friday Magazine incident in 1986. This sounds like something out of one of his movies.
It really does. So Friday, a tabloid, accuses him of an affair. Normally, a celebrity denies it, maybe sues.
Not Kitano.
Kitano gathers his crew, his entourage, and physically storms the editorial office of the magazine.
He attacked the journalists.
It was a physical confrontation,
right?
An assault. It became a huge legal incident. He was arrested. It just shows that the anger, the violence, it was simmering right under the surface. This was not just a character.
And yet, while all this chaos is happening, he's hosting Takeshi's castle.
The most slapstick thing imaginable, it's that jarring duality again. By the late 80s, if you're in Japan, Beat Takeshi is the clown. The loud, rude, violent, hilarious clown.
So here's the central question of this whole deep dive. How on earth does the clown become the auteur? The leap from Takeshi's castle to serious contemplative cinema just seems impossible.
Well, it wasn't a planned transition. The sources suggest it was a series of accidents and pivots. It started with acting.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, 1983.
Directed by the legendary Nagisa Oshima, a very heavy film.
With David Bowie, no less.
Exactly. Kitano played a tough POW camp sergeant. And he took the role very, very seriously. He thought he gave this gripping, dramatic performance. But there's this really just heartbreaking anecdote about what happened when the movie came out.
The movie theater story. I read this, and it's just painful.
It is. Kitano sneaks into a theater to see the film. Right. He wants to see the audience accept him as a serious actor. He's sitting there in the dark. And when his face first appears on screen,
the audience burst out laughing.
The entire theater. It just shatters the suspension of disbelief. They couldn't separate the face from the clown. They saw Beat Takeshi, not the character.
Devastating. So how did he react to that?
He was crushed, but that trauma motivated him. He vowed that if he was going to act again, he had to go for serious, dark characters to just forcefully break that mold. But the real shift, the one to directing, that happened almost by accident.
1989, a movie called Violent Cop.
Great title. Does what it says on the tin. Originally, the veteran director Kenji Fukasaku was supposed to direct it.
And Kitano was just starring.
Right. But Fukasaku had a scheduling conflict, specifically with Kitano's crazy TV schedule. So the distributor basically shrugged and said, "Why don't you direct it?"
Just like that. Hey, funny man, here's a camera. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It should have been. But Kitano completely rewrote the script. And this is where we see the birth of his style. Because he didn't know the rules of filmmaking, he just ignored them.
And what was so different? What was the style?
It was the pacing. He used these long takes where almost nothing happens. Minimal camera movement. Most action movies back then were all about fast cuts, creating excitement. Kitano would just let the camera stare.
It's that deadpan thing. It creates this uncomfortable tension.
Exactly. Near stasis. And then, out of nowhere, boom, explosive violence. Then an immediate cut to the aftermath. It was bleak, unique, and had this strange, dry humor.
He's stumbling into brilliance. But then we hit 1994, and the sources all frame this as the absolute turning point.
August 1994. The scooter accident.
And this wasn't just a minor crash.
No, it was catastrophic. He was riding a motor scooter, drunk, crashed, suffered severe head injuries. It caused partial paralysis on the right side of his face.
And the most chilling part is how he described it later.
He called it an unconscious suicide attempt.
Which connects right back to that volatility, the anger we talked about.
It does. It suggests he was pushing himself to the absolute brink. But here's where the artist adapts. That paralysis. It became his greatest acting asset. It froze his expression into this unreadable, crooked mask.
So the deadpan style became a physical reality.
Literally. In his future gangster roles, you could not tell what he was thinking because half his face wasn't moving. It made him terrifying. It adds this layer of nihilism you just can't fake. You look at him and you see someone who's looked death in the face.
So he survives the crash, he's in recovery, and this is when he picks up the paintbrush.
Yeah. During his recovery, he takes up painting, and he's painting these strange chimeras heads of flowers on the bodies of animals. And these paintings aren't just therapy. They become the visual soul of his comeback film.
Hana-bi, Fireworks in 1997.
Right. And those paintings are in the movie. The main character visits a paralyzed friend who has taken up painting. It's deeply autobiographical, and Hana-bi is a masterpiece. It's violent, sad, beautiful.
And it wins the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival.
Which is a huge deal. That's the top prize. He's only the third Japanese director to win it, after Kurosawa and Inagaki. And Kitano said that was the moment. That was when he felt Japan finally accepted him as a serious director, not just a celebrity with a hobby.
Amazing that he had to go to Italy to get respect at home.
But that's often the way, isn't it? The Japanese audience had too much baggage with Takeshi's Castle. The international audience just saw the film for what it was.
So now he's a Renaissance man. And in the 2000s, he starts bending genres even more.
Right. In 2000, we get Battle Royale.
A classic. I feel like everyone watched a bootleg of this in college.
It was a cultural phenomenon. Teenagers forced to kill each other. Kitano plays the teacher, the facilitator. And he brought that menacing, bored gravity to the role. He's the adult who has just completely given up on kids.
And then, just to keep everyone guessing, he pulls a pivot in 2003 with Zachichi.
The Blind Swordsman. This was a massive risk. Zachichi was a sacred character in Japan. It's like remaking James Bond but changing his whole vibe. Kitano did it, but he dyed his hair blonde.
A blonde samurai.
Unheard of. It broke historical accuracy completely. But Kitano said he made Zachichi to please others, to prove he could make a pure entertainment blockbuster if he wanted to.
Basically saying, I can do what Hollywood does, I just choose not to.
And it worked. It was his biggest box office success. And he won the Silver Lion at Venice for directing it, just to keep the trophy shelf full.
So off. But speaking of not pleasing others, we have to talk about the video games. This is where his troll persona really comes out.
Oh, yeah. Back in 1986, he designed a game called Takeshi's Challenge.
And this game is legendary for being terrible.
It's famously awful. It was ranked #1 in a magazine's Kusoji ranking, which literally means shit game. The mechanics were confusing, the difficulty was unfair.
How unfair are we talking?
There's a part where you have to hold a button down for an hour, 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Or use the controller microphone to sing karaoke. Mess up, you start over. It's considered one of the worst games ever made.
But knowing him now, that feels intentional.
Oh, it absolutely feels like performance art. He was testing the audience, but then, 30 years later, he returns to games in Yakuza 6.
A huge, serious franchise.
He provided his voice and likeness for a serious role, the full circle moment. It shows he never really leaves a medium behind. He just re-engages on his own terms.
And we see that with Hollywood, too. Johnny Mnemonic, Ghost in the Shell.
Which is funny because he's gone on record saying he hates anime and manga.
Wait, really? He dislikes the medium, but takes a role in one of the biggest anime adaptations ever?
He said he took the role in Ghost in the Shell because he liked the character's peculiar vibe. He's not driven by fandom. He's driven by what interests him. If he likes the vibe, he does it.
He just does whatever he wants.
Pretty much. In recent years, he returned to Yakuza films with the Outrage trilogy. But even there, he said he added way more dialogue, describing it as feeling like a nature documentary where you're just watching creatures kill each other.
A nature documentary of gangsters. I love that. It strips away the morality.
It fits his worldview. Bleak, but fascinating.
So let's bring this all together. We have a man who started as an elevator boy, becomes the funniest, rudest man in Japan, gets banned from TV, crashes a motorcycle in a near-suicidal incident, reinvents himself as a silent, violent film director, and ends up a commander of the Order of the Arts and Letters of France.
It's a trajectory that shouldn't be possible. And what's amazing is that he still maintains the Beat Takeshi persona for TV. He's still doing variety shows. But Takeshi Kitano, the director, is this completely separate entity.
It's not a transition, it's a coexistence.
Exactly. He didn't stop being the clown to become the artist. He is both at the same time.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with. We live in an era of, hyper-curated personal brands. Everyone tries to be one consistent thing. Kitano just destroys that idea.
He refuses to be categorized.
So the question is his ability to be two completely contradictory things, the fool and the philosopher, the ultimate act of artistic freedom, or is the violent silence of his films just the other side of the same coin as his manic comedy?
Is the silence just the noise turned inside out? That's the question.
Something to chew on. That's it for this deep dive into the two faces of Takeshi Kitano. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.